Hi, my name's Michael Yon, and welcome to the episode Life on Mars. I had in my mind to ask Kuntarkis about this for a while, and what makes this really special is he just was asked point blank. There was no preparation whatsoever. So let's pick up where I asked him. Kuntarkis, can you tell me about the history of Mars when it comes to life, from before it had life to when it had life to why life stopped being there, specifically just Mars?
Okay. Now, Mars is within the Earth's vibration, right? So it's in with the solar system. And Mars itself, as well as many other planets, originally had life. It hasn't had life. I'm just looking at it to make sure I get the right figure. It hasn't had life about 17 million years. It hasn't had any form of life. It's actually a dead planet. Mars was bombarded by massive meteors a little over 17 million years ago. And I mean, that could be, a few thousand here and a few thousand there. It depends on the time factor. It changed everything about Mars, the way the original people lived there. There was a society that were quite advanced in technology. They lived on that planet for nearly 5 million years. Prior them moving onto that planet, they only had the locals, and I'm talking like mainly animal kingdom, carnivores as well as vegetarians. But no actual species like a human or an alien existed on that planet. Now, some may have visited, but never lived on it. The beings that moved there were from a dying planet a long way away, and they made Mars their home, and they lived there peacefully. No one ever attacked them. It was fine. And they evolved in high technology. But what destroyed their planet, the planet literally died. Why it died? It was because it was hit with massive hunks of debris, and it caused fractures within the actual structure of Mars. Those fractures allowed natural heat gases to escape. A lot of those people died. In fact, probably 3/4 of them. Some left and got away. But over a period of time, all life perished. Everything. Eventually, the atmosphere disappeared, and the planet just died. It had nothing left. The spirit was gone, the energy flow was gone, so no life form could live. And it's been sitting there for millions of years, basically dead.
And the beings that were living there, the conscious beings, they must have looked a lot like, how much similar to a human do they look like?
They were similar to humans, but they had no body hair. That was the difference. They were, how would you say, you know how you look at someone that's been starved and their ribs show, their legs are thin, their arms are thin, but they got broad shoulders, but not a tremendous amount of muscle structure. And their face it looked like, how would I put it? They had wider faces, all had wider faces, but narrower from the nose to the back of the head, not like the way we're structured. Their faces were wider. And their actual cheekbones were higher, and their eyes were a little deeper, but they had no body hair whatsoever. They would have evolved from some form of, I suppose, species, probably billions of years prior them coming into evolution. From what? I have no idea, because whatever planet they came from, I would have no idea unless I had to do some research to find out. But I would say a fair distance from Mars, probably in another galaxy. Now Mars, the entire planet was like a rainforest, very thick like a jungle, had lots of things that looked like palm trees, very full in vegetation, lots of rivers. And what was really interesting is they didn't have many oceans. There was more landmass than oceans, and that can also be its downfall. Now, if you knew, say, Earth the way we are, on the outside we have tremendous oceans, don't we? Mm. I think Earth is about 37% and the rest is water. Mm-hmm. Land mass, I should say. Land mass is about 37% and the rest is all water covering the rest of the Earth. On Mars, originally, they had very small amounts of oceans, but lots of rivers, lots of mountain terrains where lots of rivers were flowing. They had a lot of fresh water. And what's interesting is they didn't have a lot of rain, and that's what's really fascinating. So they had humidity, which created the dampness for the rainforest to flourish. And that's what's interesting.
How about their fingers and toes? Did they have 5 fingers, 5 toes?
Absolutely, yes.
So a thumb, like her person?
They had a thumb, yes. They're very humanoid in appearance, very humanoid. The only difference is they had these rib cages that looked like you were starving. You could see their rib cages really well and their stomachs were sunken in. So when they walked, it's like they had a big chest, but no belly. Very different species. They were vegetarian, by the way, too. Vegetarian species. And Mars was flourished with all sorts of vegetables and as well as fruits and grains and all that type of stuff. It was a very flourishing planet originally.
And do you think because a quarter of them got away before the end that they still flourish somewhere else now?
I would believe so, yes. They must be somewhere. That's very true. They must be somewhere. Wherever they went, I have no idea.
Wow. Oh, so what was the population number as an average?
So you're saying
how many people were on the planet generally?
Towards the end?
When like 100%, when everybody was there before the meteors, how many of the beings were there?
I can't give you the exact because that would be very difficult, but I can say to you between 11 and 12 billion.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
In those years that they were there, their race increased in population tremendously. And it was, I think, because of the peace that they actually created on that planet. And it was a desiring planet to exist on.
The meteors that came and destroyed Mars, was there anything behind that, or was it completely natural?
It was natural. It was from a dying planet that exploded, and that happens actually a lot. It's like the insect planet I explained to you about. They were living very peacefully. They never had no idea what was actually going to happen to them. And yet that was debris from a dying planet. Planets actually, when they die, they become hard, crusty. And when massive debris hits them, they can literally create massive cracks. And sometimes gravity, if it disappears to a certain point, it can literally rip planets apart. And planets do fall apart. And they just fly in space. And some of those debris are massive, like meteors. Some meteors are like 10 kilometers across.
Wow, that was excellent. Anything else maybe unique or different about Mars that might come to mind?
Well, prior that civilization, no other civilization actually existed on it. The only thing that I will say is the species of animals, carnivores as well as herbivores, but no actual life form that would represent, say, someone like the human species. They found the planet and they decided to live on it, and they lived very peacefully until a disaster, which was very sad. It's always sad when a planet is destroyed and the life forms that are upon it, unfortunately, are vaporized, basically.
Indeed. Well, thank you, Kuntarkis. This concludes the episode Life on Mars. If you'd like to find out more about Kuntarkis, simply put Kuntarkis into your internet search engine. And if for any reason you'd like to contact us, simply email kuntarkis@gmail.com. My name's Michael Yon. Thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned for more.